Hey, Jeff.
Hey,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
You're way down there on this boat ramp. I like it.
Hello.
It's pretty cool. This is where the boats pull in here at the marina.
Yep.
And they can get off and come up here to Liberty on the Lake and eat, or they can hang out in their boats. Got some boats docked here. What do you have for us today?
Well, today we're going to talk about if you owned a home on Lake Murray or interested in buying a home on Lake Murray. These are things you need to know that you otherwise might not know. It's not just as simple as, hey, I just want to live on Lake Murray and be done. You got to have to be educated about a few things. We're going to talk about that. First of all is the 360 elevation marker out here and what that means. And we covered that a little bit in another episode, but you need to know that if you're going to own a property, you don't control the water. Anything below the 360 mark has to do with lake management, and they govern the rules on that. You also need to know about docks, ramps, boat life, all the sorts of things, and boat lifts. You don't absolutely have the option to just go ahead and build a dock, build a boat ramp. Those are sorts of things. There's rules and regulations. You have to know that sort of stuff. You have to know about the water levels. The water levels come and go. They raise and they lower them based on the need to take care of repairs, to do for various reasons, to cut back vegetation, all that sort of stuff. You have to know about erosion. If you don't pay attention to your shoreline, you could lose your entire property just from it eroding away from the waves just slapping about and the riprap that you have to put on that. You also have to know about the flood zones. If you touch the lake, you might be in a flood zone, and that's going to affect what you pay in a monthly basis on your mortgage payment. So it's kind of important to know about the flood zone. You have to know about the vegetation and the trees. There are some bushes and things out here called button bushes that you can't touch. You're not allowed to cut down as well as other things. And if it's below the 360, you've got to ask, beg, plead to get rid of those sorts of things. So that's important to know. You have to know about things like let systems. Because you're on the lake, if you have public water, public water and sewer, a lot of times your house is lower from the street than the actual sewer pipes up above it. So there are things called let systems, which you may have never heard of, and also water systems. Some of these houses out here are lake-fed water systems. Some of it's for irrigation, some of it's for drinking water. So you got to know about filtration systems and things like that. And then finally, who owns the dirt underneath the water? Almost said Susan, didn't I? I guess I did. Who owns the dirt underneath your water? Susan, do you know the answer to that?
Would it be Dominion Energy?
Maybe. It depends. So for about, I believe it's somewhere around 96-97% of the lake, that is true. Dominion owns the dirt under the water. But fascinatingly enough, when they built this lake, not every single property owner was real happy about the fact that they were going to flood it. And there was about 3 or 4% of the people who said, no, I'm not going to sell, I'm going to hold out, and I'm going to keep my land. And guess what? They have deeded rights to the dirt underneath the water, which is kind of fascinating, isn't it?
That is.
Yeah, what can they do with it? Not a darn thing, because it's still governed by FEMA and the other organization that runs this sort of stuff in lake management. They can't go, unless you get scuba gear and go down there, I guess you could take up dirt. But there's not a whole lot you can do with it. But there's about 3 to 4% of the properties on the lake that they own the dirt, to a certain extent to their boundaries underneath the water. That's it.
Very fascinating stuff, Jeff. There's a lot people need to know when they move to the lake.
Absolutely. So who are you going to call if you're thinking about buying or selling on the lake?
That's right. We can help them with all these facts and get them in here legally and knowing all their rights and knowing all the things to do.
Correct. So give us a call, guys.
Thanks, Jeff.
Bye.
Bye.